This is the B-Team Podcast, brought to you by Jackrabbit Illustrated. The B-Team is presented by Drake's Place in Battle, South Dakota, and sponsored by Jackrabbit Central and Shenanigans in Sioux Falls. Now, here are your B-Team hosts, Brendan and Ben.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into a spring edition of essentially the B-Team Podcast. Chad's hiding himself with his camera. But
Sorry
we,
about
of course, are a part of the Splitting Hairs podcast group brought to you by Jackrabbit Illustrated and our lovely sponsors, Drake's Place in Battle, South Dakota, and Natty Light, as it looks like Chad's trying to show up. No, we're not. We're not brought to you by. We're not.
Are you drinking Fat Squirrel?
I'm drinking Two Women. If you guys notice, there's no chocolate milk. We're all drinking beer. This might be a little more laid back and vibrant. Maybe stronger opinions on this podcast. How's your guys' winters been?
It's good. It's good to hear the B team again. We haven't heard that in a long time. It could be the beard team, but you had to go and shave yours. I mean, I grew mine out. So now maybe you have to grow yours back and we could be the beard team.
You're looking a little more manly there.
I know, right?
Although you got that, remember that commercial about the neck of the shirt? Mm-hmm. You got a little of that.
Oh, the wrinkly neck shirt.
I was working out, man.
After what you did before, we won't describe it, but I'm going to dunk on you a little bit.
Right. It's karma. It's karma. It's always nice to see, Chad start off by taking a crack at Ben.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I'm the easy target, so usually it's me. So
what do you? Yeah, no, winter's been good. Excited about the old spring game coming up here. But before maybe we'll get into spring game later. Brendan's got a hot topic for us to talk about.
Or two, even.
Well, we'll start out with the addition of Murray State to the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
Yeah. There was a lot of angst on Twitter, on everywhere from a lot of our fans, fair amount of our media. Mostly a lot from North Dakota State, really pissed off. They're the only school who came out and said they were not for it, which is that says a lot, because usually what you want kind of everybody together when you're adding a school. And I think there's for some reason, there's this huge misconception about why Murray State got added to the Missouri Valley Football Conference. It was not to make the conference a better conference. Let's be honest. Who are you going to add right now that would make the Missouri Valley Football Conference a better conference? Like Villanova, Montana State, who, we all tend to forget. There's half of Montana and all of the Dakotas away from us. I'm pretty sure Youngstown by miles might actually be closer, if not a pretty similar distance. So the people are pissed off. It boggles my mind that there's media members who forget this, and everybody seems to have forgot this, because this is going to really screw with the schedule, right, and make it even more unbalanced. We all hate the unbalanced schedule, so we're adding a weak team to have an unbalanced schedule, and it's ridiculous, right? Well, the whole reason this is happening is because the Missouri Valley schools, because everybody forgets the MVFC it's an independent entity. It's not a part of the Missouri Valley. It's not a part of the Summit League. It is more of an alliance of mostly Summit League and Valley teams. And way back when USD was going to go with UND to the Big Sky, the Summit League wanted to get them. So what did they do? They lobbied to the Missouri Valley football teams, and specifically the Missouri Valley teams, to allow them into the Missouri Valley Football Conference, because that screwed up our perfect round robin, right? And then you started having to skip teams every year, which sucked, which is another reason to not like USD. And then we added UND. Now, do you think any of the Missouri Valley schools were like, oh, they're going to be an awesome program, let's add them? No, they added them because the Summit League needed to be stabilized and help the conference. So this is just a payback for that situation. And you've got these media members and people out here just befuddled. Why are you adding Missouri State? What do they add to the football conference? Nothing. They don't add a goddamn thing. But what it does do is pay back a little bit of the favors that the Valley gave us when we needed help stabilizing the Summit League Conference. And don't forget, it is not lost on me. I'm going to throw this out there. All you folks who are pissed off about adding a weak team to the conference because it makes the conference worse, which a worse conference would make it harder, isn't ideal for making you better in the playoffs. The irony is not lost on me when you commented on my talk about the Summit League. That's all I'm going to say about that. I didn't forget. You know who you are. That's that. I'm going to let that ride. But otherwise, that's all I got to say about Murray getting added. And there's a lot of interesting things that we hear about the schedule possibilities and stuff.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I think you should just keep going. That was a solid rant.
It's a good rant. Why stop there? Exactly. It's some of it's that SDSU thinking they're better than everybody, in my opinion. And
right.
That attitude. Not that they okay, maybe they legitimately do. I don't know. At this point. Well, not everybody does, but there are certainly those that do.
Yeah.
And they're pissed that they can't move up a league. And that's just the way it's going to be, fellas. Sorry. Nobody wants you.
Right. Geography's a bitch.
Yeah. It's a thing to overcome.
Like you said, it helps out the southern half of the Missouri Valley Football Conference with a travel partner that's closer. The quality of the team, not great. You hope that they get into a conference like this and they can up their level of play, much like UND and USD have. It's kind of doubtful, but we'll see. It does overall, it weakens the conference, and if they're on our schedule, it weakens our strength of schedule. Having said that, there are plenty of years where a easier game wouldn't be such a terrible thing.
Yeah.
It's a grind going through the Missouri Valley Football Conference schedule every year, especially when you're in the north part of it. And so, we complain when Missouri State was at the bottom of the conference, we would be sad when we didn't see them because it was like a break. And so now we potentially have a break on the schedule, which, it's kind of a slight to Murray State, but that's the way it is right now.
I mean, we all know that they're more of a basketball school. They're not a great football school. But when Western Illinois and Indiana State are having terrible years, or Missouri State not that long ago, and I guess you could lump the UXDs in there, they've had some really bad years, and they've upped their game. So give them a few years. I think they compete.
Right. And now here's the interesting thing. And actually, Brad brings up a thing about rumors about Missouri State to go to Conference USA. Everything I've heard and read is that they, and if you're really interested in this stuff, folks, follow Matt Brown on Twitter. He's so all over the conference realignment stuff. It's awesome. Everything I've heard about Conference USA and Missouri State is they called Missouri State, and Missouri State is not shy about knowing that they would like to move to FBS, but Conference USA is such a disaster right now. Missouri State didn't want anything to do with it. From what I've been told anyways, and what I've read about it and everything there. The interesting thing though, with all this, because everybody loves to go, especially now, this Murray State thing. So this thing came back up. Summit League football. Let's start Summit League football. We're going to have Summit League football. Like, all right. The idea, like from a Summit League perspective, is nice because it feels like we're always teetering on this edge of getting waivers for the basketball auto bid because team leaves, lose baseball, add another team that has baseball. And like that, it seems to always be a flux thing that's in flux. So having the conference sponsor another sport that has an auto bid in the playoffs would help alleviate that stress. That's great. But here's the problem. Does anybody here want to be a part of a 6-team conference that includes a team that moved up from D3 this year? And how good of a conference is that really going to be?
There's some conferences in the South that did that, right? Or
right.
are doing that.
Right. I mean, you could argue some conferences are at that level. No, that's shade. That's shade. But I don't think that's a great solution, personally, going just straight Summit League football. But if you look at the national landscape, the really interesting thing is everybody, if you remember or not, when everybody left and the WAC started in the spring, and then the ASUN started. So the Southland just got ripped to shreds. Sam Houston, Stephen F. Austin, Lamar, and Incarnate Word went to the WAC. And then Jacksonville State left the OVC. Eastern Kentucky left the OVC. Central Arkansas left the Southland. And Austin P left the OVC to go to the ASUN. And so now you got all these little tiny conferences. Well, now Jacksonville State has decided to jump up to FBS, to Conference Dumpster Fire. I'm in USA. And so is Sam Houston. So then Lamar has jumped back to the Southland. So you've got the WAC sitting out there in a really bad spot. From what I've heard is Stephen F. Austin is very open to the idea of going up to FBS. And a lot of those teams are not thrilled about the dumpster fire they're in the middle of now, with Lamar leaving and Sam Houston moving back up in the WAC. If you really wanted Summit League football, like truly that was the goal, and you wanted to, this is just something I'm spitting out, I'm just throwing out there, but you really wanted to stabilize the Summit probably for longer term than normal than it has been, and you wanted to have Summit League football, you would go to Dixie State, Southern Utah, and then get Northern Colorado from the Big Sky, add them to the Summit, and then you have a football conference. Because then you've got what, nine members, adding those 9 members, if you were to get St. Thomas in the fold. And then say Western Illinois goes, nope, I don't want that travel. I am going to the OVC, because they were talked to by the OVC, and their big holdup was $1 million buyout to be able to get into the OVC. That they can afford. But you still have 8 football playing members. You have Dixie State, soon to be Utah Tech, and Southern Utah as travel members. Northern Colorado becomes a travel partner for Denver in the Summit. And it becomes a lot more larger, stable conference in the future if teams decide to leave. I'm not advocating for that. I feel it'd be a much, much worse football conference overall, but it would be really, really, that would be an interesting power play for the first time by the Summit that I've seen, where they actually proactively add teams instead of losing a team and then having to bail water out of the boat and add another team.
I think it'd be better for all of us, in the Dakotas, to end up in the Missouri Valley for all other sports. Honestly, I think that's a better play on our end.
That's never going to. Unfortunately,
I know it's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen because they're all about markets right now.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason they were talking to Nebraska, Omaha, and University of Minnesota, or UMKC, Minnesota. Wow, Missouri, Kansas City. They were talking to those 2 programs because of the markets. Because the private schools want the markets, because if they draw an extra 5-10 kids to a private school, that's a lot of money. That's, if they get 10 more kids, it's an extra $1 million for that private school. So They want to get into these big markets, and we ain't never fitting that bill, boys.
Somewhat off topic, but aligned with that, is I heard Patrick Mahomes wants to bring an NBA team to Kansas City. Have any of you heard that? If they did that, then you'd think UMKC could benefit from that a bit.
I mean, I suppose I don't think that would necessarily help them. That would even overshadow them even more than they already are. But I don't know what Patrick Mahomes wanting to do has any pull of reality. I mean,
well, he's a major owner in the Royals now, isn't he?
He's definitely an owner, minority owner. I guarantee you, he ain't got the bankroll to be a majority owner of a baseball team. I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, is a minority owner of the Brewers. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean he has the pull to get the team put in the town. I mean, I would love to have a casino put up in the middle of Sioux Falls and have gambling allowed statewide. and we have a podcast, and we have about the same amount of influence when it comes to that as Patrick freaking Mahomes has to bring an NBA. Billionaires buy those things. Patrick Mahomes is just an idiot with a dumb girlfriend. Sorry, I said it. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, Kansas City fans, but if his brother's like that, his girlfriend's like that, he's probably like that.
I like Brad's point here about the 420 smoke.
420 smoke. That's 420.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean,
UNO bringing back football. That ship's so sailed. There's no way the Huskers let them bring football back after dropping it.
We're more likely to get in the Valley.
Yeah, and that's a long shot. We're probably making people mad openly talking about wanting to be in the Valley. We're just heresy over here.
So no, if you say heresy. We want to be in the Valley, is that like saying maybe we'd do better with better competition, Brennan?
It seemed to work out in football.
In Twitter?
It's just a thing. Gross. No. Ryan, I am so all right. So just because we're gonna have this as a podcast. Ryan says, could add Augie in the Summit for another doormat. Absolutely don't want that. Personally, I don't care about Augie. I don't dislike Augie. I have no real feelings against Augie. What I'm against Augie is having a third Division I team in the state, in the middle of a town that we do a ton of corporate fundraising from, and having another mouth to feed in a state of 800,000 people, and then trying to support 3 Division I institutions, which one of them, by the way, the only schools that size in FCS level that are that enrollment have been there since like the 40s. None of them other make it. So they're just going to be a leech. That's my personal opinion.
Well, then speaking of Augie, like at what point are we diluting the FCS and Division I AA level so much that it's basically D2? Like,
right.
With the upper teams going to FBS and all these lower teams like St. Thomas and Augie, whoever coming up, it's like, did we even go anywhere?
That was my argument against D1 in the first place, and I stated many times that I was wrong about us going to D1. It turned out to be an excellent thing, but you hit the nail on the head, Ben. I think that's what it becomes. But that's what all the conference realignment has really caused.
Yeah, and I don't disagree that much with that take, especially as it sits right now, especially if the Summit were to add someone like Augie. Like that's not the type of peer institution. There's a reason we moved up, and that's why a lot of NDSU fans want to be FBS, and so I kind of get it. But on the flip side,
the same thing's happening at that level, though, too.
On the flip side, right? I mean, there's been really good programs moving out of FCS since the 80s.
I agree.
And teams. Nobody pegged SDSU and NDSU, particularly SDSU, to come up and be one of the top 3 programs in the country. Nobody did. And it happened. There is a cycle. Teams rise and fall, and there's teams that are willing to invest in their programs. Will it happen? I don't know, but I do agree if you add Augie and you add Augie to scholarship FCS football, and then to your conference, you're getting to the watered down part. And that's my fear with the Summit League. If Western Illinois were to bolt or fold and UMKC were going to go to somewhere, who is the Summit League adding?
Northern Colorado?
Maybe, if you're lucky, right? If you get to convince them to do that. And then after that, it's D2 move-ups, which we shouldn't be too snobbish about because we were one just 13 or 15 years ago. But on the flip side, like that's not – it feels like the conference should have evolved past that, and we're sitting here just waiting for it to happen again because the reality is other conferences get to take Summit League schools at will. If they decide they want them, they're leaving. That's the way it goes. It is what it is. We're probably the one who's the hardest to tear away because of the Summit League tournament. But even then, if the Valley calls, we're listening really hard.
Right. And I think that's the Summit League has been that way where like the top teams have gone on and, like you said, it's going to be really tough for us to leave Summit League. But I think that's the fear with the Missouri Valley too, is like, okay, we had Murray State, who is immediately the worst football program in the conference. And then we're even talking about adding St. Thomas at some point. Like, if you do that and then say NDSU ends up going FBS 3 to 5 years down the road, then like, what do we, I don't know. Are we even, I don't know. It just seems, I don't know what we do other than try to go FBS too and get into a better basketball conference. I mean, I feel like that should be our aspiration, but I don't know if we're positioned well to do that or not.
See, well,
I mean, we got to have more fans show up to a regular game first.
Well, I mean, that ties into one of the things we were talking about. Nice segue. Well played, producer Chad.
We probably have touched on this subject long enough, but
well, no, I do agree. If you just look at it, I think FBS in the future. But on the flip side, we don't even know what's happening. They're having these meetings right now that haven't been decided on what moving up is even going to look like, what the divisions are going to look like, if they're going to restructure things. I mean, and nobody knows. Like, I've heard Sam Herder interview a bunch of athletic directors, and they're like, and he goes, "What do you think this is going to shake out like?" And they're like, "No idea." And they're athletic. These are conference commissioners who should be super plugged in. So either they're lying their asses off, or nobody has any idea how that's going to shake out. So, I mean, I think FBS in the future, 10 years or so, or 15 years or whatever might be a possibility, but who knows? This could shake out where they kick the G5 down, make a middle tier of FBS or of Division I, like we've always hoped for. And then we're a part of that. And then it's a whole different game. Who knows?
And it's we have no idea. Division II again, right? And that's another way to get to the same place.
I think you're right. I think it's more likely that happens before we move up to the FBS as it sits now. Mm-hmm. I think it's more likely that some realignment will happen and we'll just fall into line or wherever we sit in that. Right. And all we can do is, we had Sell on last week. All we can do is what we've done is get our facilities in line, get our endowment up, and get our attendance up, and be ready for whatever that next, movement is. And I think we've done a good job of that so far.
We have, and the move up, a little bit of a pipe dream, but I don't see SDSU being able to move up by itself. Perhaps NDSU could, but that's one place they got us beat, I'd say. Some of that's proximity to airports and so forth, but I don't see us being able to move up without somebody moving up with us. So
I think we're
probably hitched to NDSU on the move up.
Right. If that happened, that's probably how that goes. But in 10 years, if in theory you continue growing the fan base and things like that, that could be a totally different picture. If we're packing out the Dana for every game, there's going to start to be, I think, some moving and shaking for that. The real question to me is, would the legislator let us? Because USD would throw a fit. I mean, like a 3-year-old in a shopping store tantrum on the ground if we tried to go to FBS without them, which would probably be my favorite part of if we were to do that. But that'd be just glorious. But the biggest thing right now, I think we've texted about it like crazy, is just growing the fan base and growing fan support at the games, football in particular. But now we got a new basketball arena going up. Going to want to get that thing close to packed out every week, and everybody talks about the beer sales. Beer sales would be awesome. It would be a big deal. It really would. Beer sales are not filling the Dana. They just aren't.
They're not filling it, but they're increasing attendance. I'll guarantee you that.
I bet you that it doesn't increase average attendance more than 1,000 because that's
I bet it's at least 1,000.
I take that bet.
Every stadium, go look up the research. It doesn't do much at schools for overall average attendance. It just doesn't. If you want to look it up, you certainly can.
People love their beer in South Dakota, man. It's different from the rest of the country.
No, don't come at Scotty Boy and tell me you know what a beer drinking.
I'm just saying
culture is.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, but they also have a culture ingrained in the football there too. So we're less so.
Right, but no, I'm just saying. I think it's way too built. I think I want beer in the stadium. Absolutely. Thinking it's going to be this magic elixir is completely wrong, in my opinion.
No,
will it help?
It's driven more by the revenue that it can increase, and
I think
listening to Sell on the other podcast, it seems like he feels like it's pretty inevitable at this point, and in the near future. A better question is, do you tailgate at the spring game?
I won't be able to make it. I'll be at my daughter's soccer game. It's her first soccer tournament of the year, so
I won't be there either.
I'm not going by myself, but I don't know. Does one tailgate at a spring game?
I would.
Anybody know?
I would. Why not? I'd tailgate. I mean, why not? But I think we agree, outside of where we sit on what the beer sales will do. We've all agreed over the past couple of years that we've been doing this, and we've never really talked about it here. The biggest thing that needs to happen is not just win Sioux Falls, but own it. Own it like SDSU is in Sioux Falls. And right now, a lot of our listeners are in Sioux Falls, and everybody's drove through Sioux Falls. How much SDSU stuff do you see outside of people wearing it? There's a ton of people wearing SDSU gear, but you drive through Sioux Falls, you would not know that Brookings is 45 minutes north. You would not know there's a Division I school 40 north, and it drives me absolutely flipping nuts.
I mean, 45 is pretty quick, but
yeah, well, drive like a man. I don't know. But I mean, seriously, and listening to Sal talk, they're trying some busing things, which is great, but it feels like right now, either marketing wise or university wise, we are sitting with Sioux Falls feeling like we've won it and looking at it from we've got 11 to 12,000 alumni in Sioux Falls, and they're showing up to the Summit League and they're fans, and we know they're engaged, so we can get to them with tweets or emails or whatever. Yeah, and Watertown, Tammy, but the reality is the most of the fans and really should do this in most major towns in the state, but you drive through Fargo, not everybody in Fargo went to NDSU, but they've got all these casual fans who picked up and cheer for their state team. Everyone in Sioux Falls is South Dakotan, and nobody wants to be associated with USD. Do you know how I know that? Because I go into Fleet Farm, and they used to have SDSU and USD gear. All the SDSU gear has been sold, and the whole section's USD gear that they can't flip and get rid of. So I'd say we're winning Sioux Falls, but I talk to people, and they go, oh, yeah, I love going up to SDSU games. I can only get to 1 to 2 a year, though, because it's like $65 a ticket. So you're going to the marker game. Got it. It's awesome. And I look and I go, well, my season tickets were $125. And they go,
right.
Are you kidding me? Jesus, I might have to do that. People don't even know the cost of season tickets. What
and
are we doing?
Part of that's that we're only marketing to our own fans via email. Like there's nothing. Shit you could mark. God, I mean, you could have it on the morning news every time there's a home game for like Thursday, Friday, Saturday for free. What's going on in Kelloland? I mean, they're looking for things to promote. It doesn't have to be that extravagant to be effective.
How hard is it to get the video billboard that has? I was watching He's commenting. You're pulling a chat and commenting on our
chat. I love it.
Oh my God. Ben,
I had to put it up.
Somebody's own comment.
Why are you
somebody
so sweaty,
asked
Ben? Shannon.
Oh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious.
What's in the glass, Ben? I think you got a new friend, Ben.
Red beer. I was just playing basketball with him.
Oh, okay.
Nice Step Brothers line though. That was pretty good. But how hard it would be to rent out for the year one of a couple of those video billboards that rotate through. Raise your hand if you know when the next soccer game is, or the next softball or baseball game is. I mean, you want people to go, you got to let them know, and they're not checking Twitter to find out. And
or their email for that matter. They're not checking their email.
I'm not and that doesn't tell them in advance. There should be a billboard right there that says, here's the upcoming Jack's events in Brookings at home. And boom, boom, boom. Hey, upcoming season tickets for baseball, upcoming season tickets for wrestling, upcoming season tickets for football, basketball.
The question:
why? This is not rocket science. I get that social media is a big deal and gets a lot of attention, and our social media team kills it because they always have those Skull Sparks social media interaction tracker, and we're top 50 in the country there, which is great. But the world is not only on social media, and we got to get that out there. I mean, and why don't we look at what the fat cows up north do and get our own radio show on in Sioux Falls? I mean, make SDSU a big deal in Sioux Falls. Kurt Lickis always gets pissed because he lands in Sioux Falls Airport. You can't buy SDSU gear. They don't even have it out. You don't even know SDSU exists. And I don't care if you have to give it for free. You've got to go and put that in there so that it exists. So you start turning the tide. Wife's making a comment here. I love it. She's watching me. I better talk nice.
Props to the wife.
Ariel says, if I didn't have Brendan as a husband, I wouldn't go and look up everyone's schedule. Those signs would be a great reminder for something to do. Yeah. And we got to do something to make Sioux Falls blue. You drive around Sioux Falls, you don't even realize Augie's really even there, to be honest. It's there's some weird agreement between all the colleges in this part of South Dakota that we're all going to be friends and not try to take Sioux Falls away and be buddy with each other. And even the bars, Shenanigans sponsors us, and I love them, and I love going there, and they do a great job with the staters and all that stuff, but they still ride the line, right? They still have USD events and stuff there. It's people are scared to be a Jackrabbit bar or a dumbass who likes coyote bar. That was rude. That wasn't even shade. That was just.
Well, I know one thing for sure, and that's Drake's place is 100% Jackrabbit.
Ayo, but that's not in Sioux Falls yet. Coming soon.
Question mark.
Falls? Question mark. Taking out Casey's.
Hey, I'll allow it.
Investors, possibly you.
No, I agree with you. It's got to be, all over billboards. It's got to be all over the news. It's got to be, you got to make it ever present, and it's got to be a must-see event. And you have to create that buzz on your own where it's man, am I missing out on something? If it's all over, people are talking about it, it's all over the news, it's all over this billboard. I must be missing out on something if I'm not doing it. And you just don't feel like that. People don't feel that way about SDSU sports. They don't, and they should, because it's a great product, and we got great venues and great
product in the state.
Oh yeah,
period.
So I mean, it should sell itself, but you have to do something. I mean,
it's everyone placating, like Brendan said, to the USD buddies, the money that's there. It's a problem because in Fargo they have great corporate partners, right? I mean, is Shields going to be a corporate partner of South Dakota State? Sure, but not at the level that they openly promote. Go to an SDSU game when they also sell USD gear, but to your point at Fleet Farm, there's a lot more SDSU gear there when it's there, and when it's sold out, it's all USD gear just hanging out because nobody wanted to buy it.
Yeah.
Now, I guess USD needs to up their game too, maybe is part of the answer. I don't know, but I did see that SDSU had a fair amount of advertising on the state hockey championships in Minnesota, which is cool. A lot of eyes on that, but I don't know if it seems like our marketing's just a miss. Like,
I feel like they take Sioux Falls for granted. They feel like they have it.
Right.
And they just, I feel like they don't put enough effort toward it as they should. Mm-hmm. That we should dominate it more than we do, in my opinion.
Well, the farmers don't live in Sioux Falls, so.
I mean, I get that, but I think some of it is we're stuck in the D2 mentality of you get your alumni to come to the games. Right?
No, you didn't.
Oh!
You're lying.
Cheers to that.
Oh, but not the right time. No. The best.
Wasn't there a small place on the corner that they could have? Like
Ryan.
Right on the corner there, Ben? Like,
I'd let you
want that place? Do you need the Ryan? Comment twice if you want that building gone so you can build a new one.
Right. We may know some people that have ways of making things smell really bad from sewer backups.
I may or may not be on the Planning and Zoning Commission in Del Rapids.
Hey, you got it in, and you got a guy who's willing to burn down. I mean, happen to stand by as a terrible accident happens.
Well, now I really want this.
Didn't they just build a new Casey's in that town, though?
Not
yeah, we did. But anyway, speaking of,
I can just see Brendan with a can of spray paint on the Casey's writing "Quick Trip." That doesn't make it a quick trip, Brendan.
Drake's place.
They're better, but Drake's is better than Quick Trip. But for a big chain, I do love my Quick Trip over Casey's. Is that a fight? Are you trying to start a fight right now? Is that what you were trying to do?
Hey, I saw bag milk in a convenience store in Canada, so that shit's un-American.
I don't
Get it
care.
out of here.
Beer's German. You drink the shit out of it.
Didn't know your sister lived here. Anyway, back to the marketing side of things. I think we beat that horse dead, but
no, I got more.
Well,
no, there's way more to be had there, honestly.
I mean, we beat the beer thing way more to death than.
No, we didn't.
No, I'm just saying in general. Over the course of our podcasting time, we've talked way more about it.
Oh, for sure. What I was going to transition to is what I mentioned in making the product a must-see event is, and this we've had some buzz on Twitter lately about, is like specifically the entrance of Jackrabbit football, and like making that atmosphere and that product like something that people go to see and like to be a part of.
Yes.
Because as much as we would love for people to like care about SDSU football as much as we do, that's not going to happen. You have to have it be like an event, something that people like don't want to miss, they want to be a part of, and we just don't have that right now. But I think it's something that we definitely could have, and we should work on. Like I said, there was quite the Twitter buzz about it, and I know Brendan's got some strong feelings about that as well.
That circles us back to marketing, though, doesn't it? Because, like,
well, a little bit. It's certainly. I mean,
we're trying to do the white out, the blue out, the yellow out, and it wouldn't take that much to make those a thing. But here we are.
Well, there should be a blue and yellow.
We tried our best, but we have a small platform.
There should be a blue and yellow game that's on the ticket, and they should have blue and yellow sections. That should be a thing. Should have been a thing a long time ago.
Yeah,
but it's not.
People would buy into it, and our other sponsor, the bookstore, would sell more gear.
Oh yeah,
people get more gear. People wear more gear. There's more marketing. Everybody wins. It's simple, It's like a cat riding a unicorn llama. It's just meant to be.
I think a lot of it is, we think still D2 when it comes to marketing. Like when Chad was like, well, a lot of the farmers.
Not after Labor Day, Ryan.
A lot of the farmers live outside. No, I'm going to light you on fire, Ryan, for suggesting a blackout again. We market to our alums, which you should, but we pretend like we're Division I now. We are, like Ben said, act like you're a big deal. There's a ton of casual Jacks fans in Sioux Falls who have nothing to do with the university. You have to market to them. There's 200,000 people, 250,000 people in the metro Sioux Falls. You can get more than just Jacks fans to show up. They're Jacks alumni. A lot of them do. And we're just focusing on the alumni number when we should be bringing all these people up, bringing them in. Get on the FM radio station. I love 570 WNNX. They're awesome. Their coverage is huge. But when you're, say, a 16-year-old kid cruising around flipping through stations, which I know they don't do anymore, but just bear with me, or you're someone driving through Sioux Falls flipping through sports talk stations on a Saturday, and it pops on, and there's on the ESPN station, and there's the Fox station, and you go on the ESPN one, no SDSU, you go on the Fox one, there's the Coyote game. Which one sounds like a bigger deal, being on WNIX or being on Fox? It actually is a bigger deal to be on WNAX. Don't get me wrong, but image matters. Get on one of the local sports talks. Get the games on there. And
that was something that I was hoping that Learfield would help us leverage and like flex their muscle and get ESPN Sioux Falls,
right,
who doesn't have the greatest programming maybe on a Saturday. So why not throw Jacks games on?
Right. That sort of thing. Like Ben said, the entrance, he's trying to get me to give up my idea, and I don't know if I should do it at this point in time.
People will hear it first, Brennan. They'll hear it here first.
They'll hear it here first?
Maybe. Unless they talk to you about it.
Possibly you. They are it is supposedly getting pitched. I don't know, if that was kind of like I'll throw that idea out there for you, Sonny. Some over the top fan. It's kind of like, I'm sure they get emails all the time. Play Enter Sandman for the song, or play this for the song, because that's kind of what everybody does, right? They go and bang heads all the time. Brad says a lot of FBS powers have mostly Walmart alumni. They never went to one class there, but they will support the cool team. You have to appeal to the masses, not just attendance, but apparel and advertising dollars. Exactly.
That's what athletics does to drive people to come to your school. That's why small private schools want the big markets, because like you said, 10 kids is $1 million.
Right. Well, talk to a kid whose family grew up in Iowa and are Iowa fans who just got accepted to Iowa, and see how excited they are. Like, you know what? Yes, it's a great school, but say it. Say it. So, that absolutely, if you're a huge deal, and act like a big deal, because we are a big deal. We just went undefeated in a Division I basketball conference. We went to the Sweet 16 in women's basketball. We pulled our starters in the third quarter against Colorado State of the Mountain West because we were beating them so goddamn bad. Tell me we're not a big deal. All right. So
does Iowa State's marketing look as miserable as ours? Because they're at the same level of football. Well, not football, but same level of sports, athletics as we are.
Right.
I mean, I'm just picking them because they're not the big deal in Iowa, but I'm pretty sure people in Des Moines area know what's going on at Iowa State.
It's a huge deal, and I think we need to embrace that. But all right, I'll say it. I'll say the idea, because everybody. All right, now here's my thing with the intro, right? I've texted this to Ben and to Chad and all that stuff. And I should have just slapped together a little video if I'd have known I was going to do this, just to kind of get the idea across better. But if you think about the objective of the introduction hype video and song, it is to get the team fired up, the crowd riled up and into it, and get that stadium just buzzing. And the really good ones become iconic, and they become attached to that university, and they are the hallmark stamp of going to a football game at that school. The morons up north have their stupid tunnel walk. It's, the Virginia Tech, Enter Sandman. You go through all the ones you think of that are such a big deal. Is the ultimate goal. If you have the best possible intro and hype video, it gets shown by the broadcast before the game starts, because it is that unique. It is that special. There's that college down in there. I don't remember where they're from, but they have the silent night game where they don't score, or they don't make a noise until they score. Things like that are viral. Like, everybody knows about it that follows sports. That's the ultimate goal, right? And guess what ain't going to happen at SDSU, kids? It's not going to happen just by picking a song that we like really the best, because guess what? Every school does that. There is one school that is known for having an awesome entrance just because of the song. That's Virginia Tech with Enter Sandman, and copying it ain't going to get us there. It's just not. NDSU has it because partially the song, it's associated with them, but also partially because they have a dome. They got the tunnel. They can induce epilepsy with their lights, all that fun stuff, because they hate people who are sick up there. They're just bad people trying to induce epileptic seizures before the game starts, so nobody's paying attention, and possibly they die because the EMTs are excited. That's how bad of people they are up there. It's incredible. They want people to die. But it's no. So here's my idea. It's a little bit different. We've had a lot of problems in the past with dead crowds, or the team kind of comes out flat. We can have big crowds, but it's flat. With our whole game day experience, we have all the pieces in place, but in the end, it's still just a football game. It's great. We love going, but there's nothing that stands out besides us having a really good football team and the pride. That's kind of it. So here's my idea. Chad, would you be able to, never mind. It's not going to work out that way, but there's this clip. You can look it up. It's the "We Ready" chant on YouTube. No, Chad, not you.
Yeah, I know.
This will end horrifically if we tried to slap that in there. It's this "We Ready" chant that this high school football team did in a locker room, and they're going, "We ready," and they all just get amped, jumping around, whatever. So my idea is you take that song chant, because it's kind of sing-songy chant, like whatever. I'm not good at that sort of thing, but you do that with like the men's basketball team. Yeah, there it is. That's the one. And you have, the announcer goes quiet in the stadium, and then, "Ladies and gentlemen, your Jackrabbits are ready. Now we need your help to call them out." Something along those lines. That's corny, but pick something better than that. And then you have that start with someone going, "We ready," and the basketball team doing it, and then get the women's basketball team in. They start chanting it. You get the crowd doing it. You've got clips of the cheerleaders with the signs and the highlights, and you get the whole stadium roaring. Oh, that's a different song, right? You got a whole song there. It's just that top one. Somebody made a song out of that chant.
Sorry.
You get that chant going. You get the whole stadium chanting along with it, because we'll do it. We chant "Let's go Jackrabbits" all the goddamn time. You get the whole stadium chanting that with the drum line from the Pride in the background, just tap 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 in the background of it, and then have the team run out. The stadium might explode. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if I pitched that very well this time because I was a little bit flat-footed, but that's my idea. That would be something unique. That would be something completely different. I mean, that I fully believe you get on Beef Bowl, 16,000 fans chanting that out before the team runs out. They're going to show more than just a clip of the team running on the stadium. It's going to become known as a thing, the rabbit call, whatever you want to call it. And they're going to go, and they'll have cameras on the field looking at the stance. They'll have that environment would be so electric. If you got that going, I would almost be concerned about our guys being too amped up, because I sit there and envision myself standing in that tunnel, hearing the whole stadium chanting that we're ready for y'all, just like goosebumpy type stuff.
And for the love of God, if this happens, do not cut it immediately and go to the Pride. I love the Pride, but it deflates the stadium when you cut the music and cut to the fight song. Like it doesn't do it. Like it's
the volume. There's not enough volume to
it
compared to what you have blaring over the speakers and the stadium roar, and all of a sudden it's like there's no noise. And then you have to really listen. You're like, oh shit, the Pride's playing.
Because could do the Pride, do that first, and then do this, run out the tunnel. I mean, because right now I love the Pride too. I love the band, but we'll start chants going at the Summit League or in Frost, and they'll just start, and then boom, the Pride plays. Well, then the chant's dead. Like,
the
timing on that sometimes just gets me a little bit.
Right. And I don't want to necessarily say it the way Corey says the band is deflating. That's like,
I already said it.
But you did
the stadium.
You phrased it a little better. That's like saying the Pride makes everybody sad.
Oh, true.
Time. Like, no,
I'm saying that instance,
and I'm sure Corey wasn't saying that either.
He's saying the same thing I was. That instance of what we do, the way we do it, it deflates the stadium.
Right, execution wise. But I would do anything to see that at least tried for a year or two, because you know what? Maybe it sounds corny and stupid and whatever at first. You know what sounded corny and stupid? That stupid goddamn skull chant that they do at Minnesota.
It is stupid.
It is.
People love it though.
People love it.
You're right.
NFL wide. Outside
TV
of us
loves
Packer fans, who I'm like, this is the dumbest goddamn thing I've ever seen. Everybody else, like, even in that, like, you listen to the announcers, are like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Why not?
You know what? The only thing
this is the opportunity to do that. That's why I'm so fired up and passionate about it.
That just started
have our
too.
thing.
Like, that's not old.
When they built US Bank, that's when they started it.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to. Yeah, it just. And Ryan Drake says, do the Pride as the hype video, and that's kind of what my idea was. You can incorporate the drum line of the band in the background of that highlight video with the whole crowd chanting. It's something that, God, I would love to experience it, because I think it would be that goddamn cool.
I hope it happens, because then I can say that I was I'm the podcast partner of the godfather of the entrance.
I don't care if somebody else says they did it. I completely, that is for sale. You know what? Justin Sell, Mr. Sell, if you want to say that's your idea and make it happen, if Coach Stig wants to say it was his idea and it makes it happen, if Mark Gronowski wants to say that it was his idea and that's why it happened, I don't care. I just want it to happen. I think it would be so cool.
While we're throwing out ideas, I do have an idea that I wish I would have had time to bring up to Sell, but he is awesome and filled our time extremely well. Much better than if I was babbling. So I'm glad he did.
You got a guest like that, you got to let him just go, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. But no, so my idea is, especially for the late season games when it's cold out, is to have an indoor tailgate inside the S-Jack. We've got that big building. Let's use the damn thing. Let's make it easy for people to come to the game beforehand, be nice and warm and toasty, and get some drinks flowing, and then go into the game and hopefully buy beers in the game after that.
Right.
And I mean, because I think, they've got like that. They had, maybe when COVID came, they got rid of it, but they had that like kid zone in there, which is okay too. I think you can still have room for that. But I just think, especially for those late games, like it's tough for people to spend that much time out in the cold, especially elderly people. Like, if you give them a spot inside to go hang out, have some drinks, and then go to the stadium, I think it could be a good success. So
now
there's my pitch.
Maybe controversial, but they could do it at the alumni tent.
They could keep it up and put heaters in it.
The alumni tent up with walls or heaters.
You know what? Just keep it up. I know some guys who take it right next to it, and they got like a ton of heaters. And they've
made it warm in there.
It even got left up one time in the playoffs, and these dudes took it over and put heaters in it, and it was awesome. Like if you just left it up, they'd probably keep doing that.
But even
free.
Like
they wouldn't even charge you; they just do it because they're stupid.
The alumni tent's great, but if you had an indoor thing, like you should see, like prior to the Summit League game, these fan gatherings,
Summit League rally kind of
the fan gatherings we have, like the indoor ones, the structured ones where you can go buy beer and stuff. Like SDSU fans love that, where they don't have to like go out and do their own tailgating thing. They don't have to worry about it. They just show up, they have a good time, then they go to the game. And like the alumni tailgate is kind of that, but not really. And I think the S-Jack has the potential to be a lot like that. Yeah, take 10 buses from Sioux Falls and turn them loose in the S-Jack for tailgating. Love it.
But by the way, with all these ideas, if you really like them, just start peppering the athletic department about them. Like if you're like, hey, Brendan's intro is awesome. If you thought that was a great idea, email. Literally just say Brendan's idea was awesome for the intro. And then until they finally go, Brendan who? And then get them into it. Just annoy them. Or if you're someone in the athletic department or like a big money donor and going, well, we don't have the money, or this big money donor's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. Let's put this marketing stuff up in Sioux Falls. I need someone to run it. I'll quit my job and do it. I swear to God, I would do that. I would do it in a heartbeat to be the guy who gets all those
money
ins.
with that guy too. I'm pretty sure
that's a word, right? I'll walk around with a cardboard sign right in the corner. No. This weekend at 7:00, Jack Rabbit baseball, shirtless.
You know what? That's not a horrible idea, though. I mean,
it would. I mean, it's better.
Honestly,
than nothing.
People would know about it at least.
It's better than what we got now. We'll say that,
right? Except for the shirtless and painted part, maybe I should skip that. I'm not in the shape to do that anymore.
It would get more attention than we do now.
That's true. That probably would.
The most advertisement I've ever seen in Sioux Falls is like these like sad little billboards at the mall. They're like static and they're like,
right.
Oh, SDSU is a great college. It's like, yeah, we are, but talk about the events we have going on. Like, it needs to be more current than that.
How about something more in the logo?
Like there's a disconnect between the university marketing and the athletic department marketing.
That's true.
Maybe that's the problem.
I think university marketing does a pretty good job, actually. Yeah, like about the academics of which is what the school's about. But at the same time, we're talking about the athletic side of things. It's like we got to stick some money in the marketing there.
Yeah, you got to spend money to make money, and So, anyways, Ariel said that.
She'd watch that.
She is, in fact, still watching the podcast.
Well, we did have 2 more things to get to, but we're running up on an hour here.
So, should we do what we talked about and do one more? Do a second week next week?
I think so.
2 episodes. We still got 21 listeners. We were at 33. I know for one shot of time.
I mean, we can push this to an hour 20. So the 2 things that we wanted to talk about, and maybe they're shorter conversations. The first one I think is less controversial, is like the Natty location, and I assume this came from Herder's article where he was talking about how it's been discussed a little bit.
Podcast interview is where I heard it. It's really fascinating stuff from that podcast interview. He's got some
Herder's podcast.
Yeah, he has the Big Sky Commissioner on there, and he has stuff about. Are we going forward with this? Are we going to make this an hour and a half long podcast, or are we gonna do one more episode before? Because if I get started, I'm gonna roll.
I can't put a poll up, but
let's roll.
Comment.
Let's roll.
So Herder on his interview, this was fascinating to me because a lot of people are mad about the turf in Frisco, which is rightfully so. Then a lot of people are saying, hey, let's move it to Orlando, or let's move it to pick destination city. And outside of all the other tomfoolery involved with that, with will they embrace it, will they do it right, blah, 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 blah. The most fascinating thing I got out of that interview, do you know how many cities bid to have the FCS National Championship game when it finally went up to bid from Chattanooga to move to Frisco? 3. And one of them was Missoula, Montana. And let's be honest, it's not terribly realistic. So it was Chattanooga and Frisco. Those are the only cities that bid on it. We got all these people out here going, move it to here, move it to there. They didn't want it. They didn't want it. Now I'm all about moving it out of Toyota Stadium because that turf has killed 2 quarterbacks now.
Can we move it into Jerry's little stadium?
Well, that's an interesting discussion just based off of amenities, seats available. You probably want something around the size of Toyota Stadium, maybe 35,000 max. And one of my issues is, I said max. I didn't say wait like that much bigger. I think Toyota's 20?
Yeah, maybe 16, 18.
No, it's bigger than 18. It's bigger than 16 for sure.
It's 20,000. You're right.
Aha.
Star is only 12,000.
Yeah, so that'd be a little small. But the issue you run into there is, well, do you want to do it like at Rice? Well, do you want your championship game played at an FBS school's stadium? Is that a bad look? Sort of thing. What's available? NFL stadium. The issue Tammy says should move it to an NFL stadium. The issue I have with that is the optics. The FCS National Championship game, I don't care what NDSU fans try to tell you, will never sell out an NFL stadium. You're not selling out an 85,000 person stadium. You're just not. So 20,000 in 85,000 seat stadium. I would rather have 2,000 people not able to go because the tickets weren't able to be bought. So that looks like a packed house that really matters on TV compared to having an empty, say, Georgia Dome or whatever, or Superdome, where they have the top 2 levels tarped off because you didn't fill it, and then a half full lower bowl. That's just personally for me. I don't know what your guys' take on that is.
I would agree. It needs to be the right size. The Star is probably too small. I talked about North Texas and SMU in another tweet that I had, but something has to be done because, what I read, I didn't listen to the podcast, but I read the article is they said that they're aware of the issue with the field and it's being dealt with. Now, I don't know what they can do though, because they're not, it's a soccer stadium. They're not going to put a football field on just for us.
Football turf. Right. The type of sod that needs to be on there to stand up to it
versus the pitch.
Right. And so I don't know how it can be dealt with. They say, well, we're taking care of it. It's like, how are you going to take care of it? Because
they said that after the nightmare natty where the turf was like falling apart, like was coming up in huge chunks.
Wouldn't it be less of a problem if it was like, instead of real turf, like fake turf? I'm not a proponent, but
they can't do soccer on that.
They can't? Okay. Yeah, because people get hurt on fake turf.
Actually, they do. Yeah, that's a fun fact for everybody. There's like a way higher incidence of injury on field turf instead of actual grass.
But anyway, I think that I don't know if we need any more discussion on it because the contract is technically up in 2024, I believe, is the last year as an option for 2025. So it'll be interesting to see if anything is done. I don't know that I'm a big proponent of moving it elsewhere. And like you said, who else wants it?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe now that it's been a bigger thing and it's been well attended, maybe somebody else would say, hey, I kind of want that. But
Right.
I don't know who that's going to be.
West Texas A&M. 20,000 seats stadium.
Yeah, where's that from? Frisco,
though. It's in Kimba, I don't know, Canyon, Texas. Okay. No idea.
So
it's part of Amarillo. It's by Amarillo.
That's a ways, I'm pretty sure, from Dallas. So, the tricky thing with that is a town like Frisco. Yeah, it's part of Dallas, but it's kind of its own thing too. But they really embraced it. Like if you drop this game, say you got it in Vegas, Vegas isn't even going to notice it's happening. Like they're not even going to know you're there. So whereas you go to Frisco, I mean, we've all been down there. I went this fall for the first time to see it in the fall. They do really get into it. They're all about it down there, and that is a really cool thing where I feel like when Chattanooga did it, they probably are as on board with it as Frisco is. So I think you kind of want a mid-sized city compared to a huge one for hosting it, and that's kind of part of what makes that tough.
No, I agree. Frisco is great. Like the city itself, the proximity to Dallas and the airport, it's ideal. It's just that damn field. So
right.
I don't know.
Right. You fix that sod, which they keep saying. Yeah. And okay, so Tammy says they just laid that 2 weeks prior. So that means they did it again because that had happened a while ago too. And they keep doing it. And then they lay this new sod and then they go, oh, a cold snap happened and screwed it up. Well, stop doing the same thing.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if there's a good answer.
Right.
The other thing that we were going to talk about is the potential for playoff expansion, which was also on Herder's podcast, an article. Yep. They're talking about potentially expanding it out to like 32 teams.
Up to, I think I think it might be 32. It was basically there was going to be no first round buys anymore is how it was going to work.
They're talking about like seeding the top 16 or something like that.
And what do you really add by doing that other than more also-rans?
Well, I understand.
I guess you could add more Missouri Valley Football Conference teams and they could get more.
Well, that's why the Missouri Valley and Big Sky are for it. Because you're going to add more of those teams. But here's the other thing people forget. Added 2 more conferences. Added the WAC, added the ASUN that both get playoff bids. These blowout games that everybody thinks happens because the playoff expanded happen because they're from weak auto bids. It's the Patriot Leagues. It's the OVC auto bids. It's these smaller leagues auto bids that get shellacked and are really bad games. It's not the at-larges. So when you add 2 more auto bids, now you have the risk of 2 more weak teams getting in and taking the place of 2 of the at-larges that would have been good teams. So the theory behind it is you add more at-larges to balance that out. That way you're making sure the teams that should be in are in. I don't want it to expand. I'm just saying that's the logic behind it. So I do understand it. I just don't agree with it necessarily.
Yeah, and
I just have to play the part of a dumb listener because I'm a dumb listener.
I don't think that's a dumb take at all. I don't think you're wrong. You're going to be adding the reality of it is outside of the top 8, usually you're not a national title contender.
Right, and Ryan is right. 28 is an option. I think it's like basically 28 minimum up to 32. They're wondering if it should go to 32, and the problem is, like you said, like if all these conferences are getting auto bids, you can't not expand the playoffs because then you're unless you're willing to say, well, it should only be the top 16 teams anyway, and so we're just not going to expand it because I don't know. It's tough. Where do you draw the line?
It's like having AAA football in South Dakota and where we have 5 teams playing. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, how many teams are there that play in the 64 team tournament for basketball? there's a bunch. How many teams are there? Yes. Not even half that. So we're going to have 32 teams? And I don't know. I understand your point that you're making, and it's valid. It would suck to get left out as a 7-3 team from the Valley or something, but
it would suck. But should you? I mean,
be better.
Like there are times when, like, if we get not these last couple seasons, but when SDSU got down to the last game, and it's like, if we lose this game, we don't deserve to make the playoffs. Right. And I think that even these bubble teams now that are, missing the playoffs and they're mad because they're bubble teams and there's these other auto bids getting in, it's like, you didn't deserve to make the playoffs anyway. And so that's the argument for the smaller playoff is that, yeah, you're getting left out, but you deserve to get left out. You didn't play well.
Right.
And I mean,
or you did play well, but you scheduled yourself out of the playoffs. I'm looking at you, SoCon. Scheduled 2 FBS teams and then play 10 games in the season and then cry because you had 6 wins and didn't make the playoffs. Well, schedule the full 11-game goddamn slate and don't schedule 2 FBS payday games and get your teeth kicked in and maybe you make the playoffs.
Right.
Well, but like NDSU won't go and play anybody, so that's a problem.
Oh, God. Are we going to bring up that Twitter fight? Hey, you talk to your AD and you tell him to schedule the game against me, man, because that's how that works. And I'm just going to be like, okay, Justin Sal, you should schedule against Jackson State because they're crybaby little bitches.
Well, let's be serious, though. You'd get more of a response from Justin than most people would from their ADs.
Yes.
So,
yes. I mean,
so we got that going for us.
He's not going to take my advice on how to schedule the football program. Hey, full disclosure.
He could take your advice on the intro, though.
To schedule Jackson State. I would love us to schedule Jackson State because I would go. They draw like 60,000 a game, and it is a party. And I want to see one of those.
And it'd be even better when we beat them, right?
Right. And then I can just yell, hey, Coach Sanders, hey, Coach Sanders, hey, Coach Sanders the whole time instead of Coach Prime just to piss him off.
Coach Dion.
Yeah. But, I mean, those games, like, it's a tradition down there. And that's what we need to get here. Like, it needs to be – and the reality of it is –
party. It's a party.
Yeah, it's a party. The reality of it is –
the stadium helps that.
Like yeah,
it does.
Like we want everything now, and we have to like step back and say, and we do this from time to time. We have this reality check of like, we're a young Division I program. We're building. We're doing a good job. These kids that are growing up seeing SDSU football be really good and come to the games, they're going to bring their kids, and it's just going to, it's going to build. And that takes time. We talk about, these power, like we mentioned Iowa football a lot. It's like, well, they've been around forever. Right.
Yep.
And like, we haven't been around that long at all. And so it's going to take a long time at the Division I level and doing well at the Division I level to build what we want it to be. Now, does that mean we shouldn't try in the meantime? No, like we should definitely do some of these things that we're trying to do. But I also, have that reality check from time to time. It's like, we're doing the right thing. We're building this. It's going to take some time. We may not see it, but our kids may see it.
Right. So, how many angry emails is Matt going to get after this one?
I'm guessing we probably made some Pride people angry.
We pissed off the Pride. Marketing.
Yeah, the marketing people are definitely not happy with us right now.
Probably game day ops.
Yeah.
Possibly Justin Sell himself.
And
then you had to go. You had to. If you haven't listened to the interview with Justin Sell, then you need to, because Ben live on the air goes, hey, you're gonna want to check out Wednesday because we got some ideas for you.
Hey man,
like he doesn't even need to know. He didn't need to know we were doing this.
That was about. I was trying to gain viewers, man.
He was pimping the show. He was pimping the show.
People probably tuned in. They're like, "Oh shit, they're gonna lay it on."
We kind of did.
Yeah.
I left out the chocolate milk crowd. I'm out of milk right now, Brad. I ran out last night.
What?
Yeah, I know. I usually buy like 2 gallons at a time, and I finished the one.
Is that 3 bags or 1?
Are you okay?
I can't get bags yet because Quick Trip's not here.
Yeah, just go to Canada. They got them up there.
Yeah, no, I'll just tootle my happy ass up to Canada instead of over to Wisconsin. Hey, go Jets, go baby!
This milk lover stopped over at my house, and he brought beers with him, and none other than Cow Tippa, which has like
awesome.
It's a great beer, but
it's so good.
It's dairy themed.
Well,
is your whole life dairy themed?
Yeah, he only drinks his spotted cow Tippa, cow juice.
Well, this is old Milwaukee. I mean, it's not dairy themed. It's in a camo. And that's how old this is. I bought this in deer season.
That is probably the real answer right there. He drinks it so fast, can't keep up.
Yep.
Have you been stressed lately? You've been drinking more milk than normal?
I got my heartburn under control, so that's nice. But that was part of my routine for heartburn was I drink a quart before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Every time I go to bed, I drink a quart.
I do. I drink.
You're referencing Step Brothers. Some people will get that.
I'll drink a pint to a quart at night, and then I drink another quart before I go to bed, and sometimes I'll have 3 or 4. For those of you following along, that's a lot of milk in a night.
I was to say, you're pushing a gallon there, bud.
Yeah.
Your poor wife.
See, it doesn't affect me like everybody else. That's not how that works with me.
All right.
No, Walmart. Nobody delivers to me. Nobody. I can't get Domino's out here.
He's basically halfway to Baltic on Cliff Avenue, so he's not close to anything.
Egads, yes. I've been ratted out by my own producer.
Sorry. Well, it's not your exact address.
You can probably go get milk right now from the Renner Corner, couldn't you?
Yeah, I can. Dude, Renner Corner is so clutch. Oh my god, that place bails me out all the time, like just for stupid stuff like milk or sour cream or their beef sticks are awesome.
Well, I was gonna say their dry beef jerky you can get by the pound.
Yeah,
have you had that yet?
I have not had that yet.
Oh yeah, just go up and be like, "Hey, I'll take a half pound of your beef jerky," and they pull it out of a bag and weigh it.
Oh, nice.
It's good.
Yeah. I'll have to give that a whirlski. I think I've seen a bunch of it prepackaged now.
I don't know if they prepackaged that kind. I think it's only by the pound. But no, Chad, we're not going to wrap it up.
Chad,
we're talking beef jerky.
Hey, Chad, can you do that again? Do that. I got a knock joke for you while you do that.
Go ahead. Does that turn you on or something?
Knock. Chad, knock.
You're a dunce.
Chad, knock.
No, I will not oblige.
Who's there?
God, you suck. You suck.
Ben gave you the who's there.
Who's there? You're supposed to be doing this though. This is such bad radio right now. This is so bad. People are gonna be listening in their car. Going,
I might be doing this, but it's not above.
Yo, knock. Who's there? Yeah, Yahoo.
Yahoo. You're all about the chocolate milk, aren't you? You and your Yoo-hoo.
That's my life. I don't do Yoo-hoo. It's like not real chocolate milk. But that chocolate milk you can get in the glass jug at Hy-Vee.
It's very good.
Oh, brother. That's some whole milk chocolate milk right there, and that's the real deal.
Yep.
But it's also
even Jim
accordingly.
Jim knows it.
Even Jim's like, is it time for you guys to stop?
Yes. It's definitely time. It's
Jim, you were on board with this going longer.
To be fair.
Hey, we said 120.
I'm not on screen while I'm giving them the wrap it up, like
we said 120. We went 120, man.
Well, yeah, we got 30 seconds to spare.
Yeah, look at us go.
That's good. We can talk about beef jerky and chocolate milk more.
We can eat them together. Then you get farts that'll kill a guy.
You're not going to listen to Mike Tyson talk about his tiger farts killing people, but
well, with that, go big, go blue, go Jacks.
Go Jacks. Chad's so slow every time.